Welcome, everyone. We are live. It's Friday. Yes, it is. I shall be brief today. And I will say that rest is the solution. Rest is the solution. How is rest possibly the solution? Because when I say rest, I don't talk about, oh, let me lay down and have a nap. No, that is not what I mean by rest. Rest means that we comprehend, we understand that what we experience is a direct result of our mental moods and mental attitudes. And when you know that, now you can rest easy knowing that you are the one in the driver's seat of your life. That's what it means. That rest is the solution. You have to rest assured. Listen to it. How are you resting? Assured? What does assured mean? Well, let's see what Webster has to say about resting assured. Oh, to be assured means you are confident, protected against discontinuance or change. You tell someone something positively or confidently to dispel any doubts they may have. You assure them, right? So if you are assured in the law, in the principles, that as within, so without, as above, so below, everything moves, nothing stands still. Polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. If you are assured in that, this is where now you rest in that because you're not worried. You see, many people sleep, right? And they get up and they say, oh, I just don't feel rested. Why is that? Because the thoughts, the mental mood is one of being unsettled. I have a tendency to always feel like I'm rushed. Listen to that phrase again. Feel like I am rushed. It is a feeling. So in order to know, people say, oh, you never have enough time in a day. What is it that you want to accomplish? You have to deliberately use the principles. I say deliberately because it is how we live. We live by way of the principles, the laws, day in and day out. There is not another way to live. As much as some would like to tell me otherwise, there isn't. Resting in the law means that you know that your direct mood influences your experiences. And when you know that, you will look within yourself first before you act. That's what it means. You're always at rest. You're never unsettled. The law brings peace and surety, of course, confidence, peace of mind. Yes, the law brings all of those things. But because We as a general society don't know the law. And I say that we don't know it not because we haven't been taught. I say we don't know it because we just we know it, but we don't. You know that if you plant something in the garden, whatever you plant, okay, so if you planted peas and they didn't come up, you say, oh, my peas didn't grow. If you planted peas and they came up, you say, oh, look at my lovely peas. You know that what you plant is what you will reap. We know this in the garden, but we don't know it in the garden of our minds because we have been taught to overlook it as meh, it's just nature. But you see, it is not just nature, it is the nature of existence in general. So today, my beautiful friends, as you and I go through this day, recognize that it is our mental mood, our mental attitude that brings about our experiences. It is our mental mood that brings about our experiences. Then you grasp that. You will understand why so much time, effort, and energy goes into making you feel. That's the point today. Recognize it. So why is it so important that you feel? Because what you feel leaves an impression in your brain. It impacts you, right? And the way it impacts you is that it forms an opinion, it forms a perception, and we live from those. As within, so without. So what you believe to be true, you have to see the evidence of. And this is why so much work, money, and effort goes into making you feel. You see, Neville Goddard may have told you that feeling is the secret. He may have told you that feeling is the secret, but he's not the only one who knew. This is why I tell you to ask yourself, what would I prefer to be? Who would I prefer to be instead of what I presently am? Because when you shape that perception of yourself, you become it. Sometimes I feel like I have to speak cryptically. And this is why parables were told, so that only the one who wanted to know could discern it. So today, my beautiful friends, put yourself at ease. Now, how do you possibly put yourself at ease in a world that we live in? You put yourself at ease by recognizing that it is you at the center. And it is you that brings about these experiences that you are having. And listen, I know there are many, who would say, I did not do this. I didn't ask to be treated this way as a child. I didn't ask for this to happen to me. No, you did not. You didn't ask for that. Nobody does. Hello. Nobody asks for that. You could not have possibly given consent. Right? You couldn't have. But somebody usurped, absconded, ran away with their authority to protect. They abused it. Yeah? But it formed a perception within you nonetheless. And it is from that formed perception that you now live. So to give yourself rest, to give yourself peace of mind, you must recognize that we live from what we believe ourselves to be. If you believe yourself to be absolutely phenomenal, then so said, so done, you shall be that. Because as within, so without. It is the seed that you have planted in your own mind's eye, and you live from it. If you feel like dun dun dun, nothing ever changes. I can't change my life. I can't be anybody. This is my lot in life. If you feel like that is true, you notice, if you feel as though that thing is true, then that is how you will live in the world. A perception, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. William Blake said, if the fool persists in his folly, he'll become wise. That's the same sentence, just different words. Which tells us what? You see that inner conversation that you have? The thing you're always saying to yourself? That you think you're just whispering to yourself and nobody else can hear it? You see that? Oh my God, why this always happen to me? Oh my God. Blah, 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 blah. Why I gotta do this? Why I gotta do that and that? Oh, you see that? Look at your inner conversation. Your inner conversation is showing you what you say you are. Your inner conversation is either keeping you at ease or your inner conversation is agitating you. You know, when you put your head on your pillow at night and you feel, this is one of the questions when you're doing treatments and you ask, well, is it easy to fall asleep or hard to fall asleep? And some people say, I just can't get my brain to turn off. Do you know why that is? Because the inner conversation never stops. Now, here's the thing. The principle of vibration tells us that everything is moving. Nothing stands still, which includes your thoughts. So if thoughts never stand still, the solution is to point the thought towards something. You don't point the thoughts towards, oh my God, what the day from hell I had. She did this and she did that. What kind of sleep or lack thereof sleep do you think you will have? So you can't shut the brain off. You can't shut it off because everything moves. Nothing stands still. But if you give it a focus, where do you want to put your thoughts? Where do you want to point yourself? You can point yourself on your inhale and your exhale. You can point your thoughts towards, oh, is that a bird I hear singing? Caw. You can listen to the birds. Just allow your brain to be saturated with one thing. Oh, I do love the smell of roses. Well, think about roses. And I tell you, you begin to smell them. Oh, yes, you shall. Because it crowds everything else out of the brain. You are giving yourself a singular focus. Right? So if you can't turn it off, point it in the direction of something that is soothing. Point it in the direction of something that is funny. Why? You see, we think that seems so, oh, please, that's so mundane. But hear this. Every cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause. If you sit and pontificate, contemplate on thoughts that create anxiety, oh my God, what's going to happen? But what if the body will release a chemical cocktail that matches that thought? And when it releases that chemical cocktail, your heart will race, you'll get a little sweaty. Yeah, you'll start to worry more. You cannot entertain thoughts of panic and worry and the body not respond to panic and worry. Your brain is not disconnected from your body. It has to follow it. So it stands to reason that if we can generate thoughts of worry and fretting, we also have the capacity to generate thoughts that make you breathe slow and steady and deep, thereby bringing about the condition known as resetting the autonomic nervous system, resting and digesting. So you see, my beautiful friends, rest is the solution, and you are the only one who can give yourself rest. So when I tell you that you are the one with the power to change your situations, don't give me the side eye. Look at yourself in the mirror and observe what is happening. Observe your behavior, and you will see how you make yourself feel. And you and I know that we do have the ability to make ourselves feel incredible, don't we? Oh, yes, we do. That was a complete tongue-in-cheek moment right there. If you can read between the lines, you will understand. But some will grasp their pearls and say, oh, how crass. Angela, how could you say such a thing? What I'm saying to you is the power to either bring about rest or agitation lays in the palm of your own hands. That's what I'm saying to you. And it's nothing for you to believe. It is something for you to experience. You know, I'm going to throw some scripture out there. Don't come for me. Don't clutch your pearls. But listen to what it says. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities in high places. That is both metaphorical and psychological. You see that first principle? The all is mind. The universe is a mental creation. You see that principle? That is the bedrock. Hello. That is the foundation. And this is why I am telling you. What you are aware of being is the only action that you will take. I am hungry. What action will you take from? What action will you take to satiate your hunger? Maybe I'll go jogging. Is that the action you'll take? I can hear the kids on Sesame Street saying, no! I'm hungry. I will read. Is that the action you'll take? No. I am hungry, therefore I shall eat or drink to satiate my hunger. Yes. That which you say you are is the only action you'll be able to do. Because every cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause. Neville Goddard gives an exercise. He says, when you get into bed, replay the day it should have gone. Replay the day in the way it should have gone, not the way that it did go. Why? Because the principle of vibration tells you the minute you lay down, because nothing stops moving, right? Like my grandmother always said, your mouth never stops moving. Little did she know. But your brain, it doesn't stop moving. Can you imagine if your brain shut down so you could sleep? You'd be dead. Because somebody's got to regulate that breathing. Somebody's got to regulate the heartbeat. So the brain cannot stop moving. The principle of vibration says everything moves. Nothing stands still. So Neville says when you get into bed, because naturally what you do when you get into bed is to replay the day. You just do that naturally. So he says, if you naturally are going to replay your day, don't replay it the way it actually went, especially if it was a shit day. Sorry, I shouldn't cuss. I'm a lady after all. She's a lady. Anyway, don't replay the day that it did go in that crummy kind of way. He says if you're going to recall something, well, then give yourself a new memory. Replay the day in the way that it should have gone instead. Why? Because if you replay the day in the way that it should have gone, you will give yourself peace. And what happens when you're peaceful? You have a nice big yawn and a stretch and you fall asleep. And the dreams will match. But if you lay in that bed and you say, oh my God, this heifer, if you know the day that I had, and you get yourself so worked up, your body is now worked up. So the chemical composition, right? The hormones in your body have to respond to the fact that you have been worked up. So now you ready to fight somebody and you laying in your bed. And where's the fight happening? The fight is happening within. So if the fight is happening within, well, then the body thrashes about the bed. The sleep is unsettled. You are restless. And then you get up in the morning and you say, oh my God, I'm so tired. I barely slept. Because your mood was not one conducive to sleep. And then what happens? You do the same thing the same way every time. You've done it for a whole week in a row. And what do you develop? Dun, 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 insomnia. And now here's what happens with insomnia, because it doesn't just end there. The body has to respond in kind. Now, in TCM, the heart houses the mind. Mind is your awareness, your consciousness. Yes. Spleen makes blood. In traditional Chinese medicine, the spleen makes blood. So because you are now fretting and worrying instead of resting and digesting, you are depleting the function of the spleen. Spleen makes blood and sends it to the liver, who sends it to the kidneys, sends it up to the heart, where the mind is housed. So you can't sleep because now there's no blood in the heart to anchor the mind, and you're restless. You see how the dominoes fall? Every cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause. You now go to the doctor and you say, Doctor, I can't sleep. And your doctor says, well, let me give you something to help you sleep. And here you are taking something to force yourself to sleep when the power is in the palm of your hands to say to yourself, where are my thoughts going? Well, my thoughts are going to follow the mood that I'm in. What mood am I in when I lay down? Night after night, if you foster a mood of agitation, how in the Sam Hill are you going to sleep? The same way that you naturally foster the mood of agitation. Well, put on some birdsong, put on some waterfalls. Do something that will facilitate rest, but you've got to make the mental decision to do so. So the solution is rest. Physical rest comes about as a result of mental rest. So today, my beautiful friends, what mental attitude do you habitually occupy? I can tell you mine right now. Arguing. This is why Granddaddy always said I should have been a lawyer, because I can argue. And I usually tend to argue over the injustices of things that are happening around. But don't get it twisted. Arguing over injustice is agitating. And if I keep fostering the mood of agitation, I wonder what kind of experiences I'll have on the outside. Let me think. Peaceful ones. No. Agitating ones. You're not walking around in a state of minakir. I don't care what happens in the world. You're not walking around like that and being a jerk. You're not doing that. What you are recognizing is that what you habitually do, you will habitually live. And so you make the conscious decision to say, I want to live in a place of peacefulness from within. And when you start doing that deliberately, fostering peace within the self, what happens on the outside? Peaceful experiences. And we want to wonder why there's no peace in the world? Because individuals are not peaceful within themselves. As within, so without. How do we fix it? How do you get to the solution? Here it is. Step 1, acknowledge what you are doing. Acknowledge your habitual mental mood. Habitual means you do the same thing the same way every time. That's your habit. Okay, that's what it means. So, what is that? What do you habitually do? Now that you see what you habitually do, you ask yourself, what would I like to habitually do instead? What mental mood would I like to habitually occupy? And then you answer that question. You say, you know what? I want to start occupying this new mental mood. You name it, because you're the one who knows what it is that you want to occupy. And you say, okay. And then I love it. Neville says, begin to experience in imagination what you would be doing in reality if you were the man or the woman that you wanted to be. He says that's what you do. So you would start to see what you'd be doing. If you were at peace, would you be leaning on your horn? Get out of the way! You're gonna make me late. Angela. Is that what I would be doing if I were at peace? No. I'd be driving in a mental attitude of a Sunday drive, just taking my time. And the moment you say yes, I would be taking my time. Your body literally begins to say yes, and it slows down for you so you can take your time. And every moment that you are catching yourself not being who you want to be, you bring yourself back to who you say you want to be, habitually, at ease, at rest, and you begin to see it in your mind's eye again, and you rehearse it. And here's something my son asked, well, how do you control your breathing, mother, when you're doing anything? I said, breathing matches the mood. Breathing matches the mood. Get excited and see what happens to the breathing. Get sad and see what happens to the breathing. Get a little ow and see what happens to the breathing. Right? Breathing follows mood, just like everything does. So now that you know step 1 and step 2, step 3 is to persist in that behavior. Not because you want to force it to make it happen, but because you know the outcome already. Every cause has its effect, and every effect has its cause. So when you make the decision to say, you know what, I'm just going to practice being at ease. My mental attitude is just a stroll. I'm just strolling. That's my mental attitude. Taking it easy. Stopping and smelling the flowers in every neighbor's yard. That is my mood. That's my mood. Unhurried, unbothered. And you know that when you get into that mood, well, as within, so without. That inner mood brings about the external experiences. Why is that? Because you have to use the principle of correspondence to understand it. As above, so below. If you plant seeds of corn, you will reap that vegetable of corn. So bring it up to as above, so below. Below is the corn. Above, what seed mentally are you planting? The mental seed planted will only bear that fruit for you by way of an experience. So begin to master your mood. How does one master the mood? Well, not through force, that's for sure. One masters the mood by deliberately selecting the mood at will. And how does one master anything? By doing it the same way every time. You form a habit, you are now master. Hello, you made that habit. You see, you are already master of yourself. You just didn't know it. Begin to practice the art of mental mastery. Meaning, you select your mental mood. Select the way you want to feel, not the way you are enticed to feel. Because the way that you are enticed to feel is usually external. It came from somewhere. It didn't get there randomly. It was deliberately put there. This is why Neville can say, the man who masters his moods, right? The ones who don't know how to master theirs fall victim to the ones that know how to master moods. And last time I checked, neither of us were victims. So if you're not victim, what are you? You are Lord and Master of what? Your mental attitude, your mental mood, your mindset, all meaning the exact same thing, those three words. But if you don't know how to master that, well, that is where everything stems from. The all is mind. The universe is mental. So if you don't know how to mentally master yourself, you will always be at the mercy of someone else who knows how to master their moods. Because then they know how to master yours. How? By making you feel. So how are you going to start? By making the decision. How do you want to feel? Well, the way you feel is the way you'll behave, as within, so without. So start there. So you see that rest that you think is so elusive? What kind of sleep do you want to have? Well, then get your mind in that place. The mental attitude of just a Sunday stroll. Because Sunday has its own way of feeling, does it not? Just like Friday has a feeling too. Oh, we all know what Friday feels like. Cheers to the freaking weekend, because that's how Friday feels. And we all know how Monday feels. So every day has its feeling, right? Wednesday has a feeling, that's for doggone sure. Are we there yet? To Friday? So then Sunday has a feeling that says, I am at leisure. You know, you're driving, Sunday driving with the top down, the wind is blowing. See that mental attitude? You can make yourself feel that. You can make yourself feel anything. So learn how to make yourself feel the way you want to feel, because then you are the one in control of your behavior. Anyway, don't let me do what my grandmother said I was always going to do. Don't let me preach in here today and prattle on. Step 1, acknowledge what you are doing right here, right now, especially that thing that you don't like. That behavior that you don't like in your life, that thing that you keep doing all the time that you say, oh my God, why do I keep doing this? Why does this keep happening to me, Lord? That thing, acknowledge it. Don't judge it. Oh my God, I'm so stupid. Why do I keep... That's judgment. Don't judge it. Just simply acknowledge what you're doing. Step 2, once you have acknowledged it, ask yourself, well, if I don't want to do that anymore, what would I prefer to do? Better yet, who would I prefer to be instead? You see, who you want to become has very specific behaviors that accompany it. And those behaviors have a very specific mental attitude that accompany it, as within, so without. So when you decide who you want to become, then you get the mental attitude of that new person. And now that you have that new mental attitude, step 3 is what? Rehearse that mental attitude. Because you know the mental attitude is going to make you act. So if you know the mental attitude, then you know how you will act. So you rehearse the mental attitude as often as you can. Why? Not because you're bored, but because repetition and the way that that new mental attitude makes you feel begins to set down a neurological pathway in your brain. So that what are you going to do? It becomes your what now? Your habit. And that habit is how you will behave. So that is why you persist in doing the new mental attitude. I got a new attitude. Yeah? So you don't give up on your new attitude because, oh my God, it's not working. Nothing is changing. That just means you haven't set it down just yet in your mind's eye. Another way of looking at it is you perform what you practice. I'm not telling you anything that's new. I'm just simply saying to you, this is the way the principles work. Mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. Gender. Let's not get that twisted with man, woman, boy, girl. Gender, you generate the idea. which is masculine. You cannot see the idea because it is invisible. It is masculine. But you have to project that idea. Where? You project it outward. It has to become embodied. So the embodiment of your idea is feminine, meaning shape and form that you now get to interact with. If you are a designer, you know that when you are thinking you're laying there, you're like, oh my God, I can make this dress. I don't see the dress until you put it on your model. The idea of your dress is masculine. When the model wears your dress, it is feminine because it now has form, which will lead you all the way back to the principle of correspondence. As within, so without. Masculine is the idea, feminine is the form of that idea. So, what do you want to embody? What mental attitude do you want to embody? Those behaviors that take shape in the outside world. What are those? Then rehearse them. Day in and day out, rehearse them because you know the inevitability of rehearsal is performance. Not, I hope this works. The inevitable outcome of rehearsal is performance. And you will only perform what you rehearse and how you rehearse it. Ask Tina Turner, she'll tell you. A lot of people thought that she was spontaneous on stage, but don't get it twisted. She rehearsed every single thing, every step and every word she would say, she rehearsed it so that she knew what she was going to do when she got out there and nothing took her off guard, except for Mick Jagger. But that's another story. You got to read about Miss Tina if you want to know. But I digress. Who's here? And then we're going to go because I got to feed these chickens before he starts to holler at me talking about, Mama, feed me. Melly Mel is in the house. Hey, girl. She's in these YouTube streets. Okay, Frame, I see you, darling. I see you. And for the others who've not made yourselves known in these YouTube and Facebook streets, I see you. Oh, yes, I do, darling. I do. Who's with us on Fanbase this morning? Ray Ray is in the house. My lovely Miss McQueen. Big Mike. I see you, baby. I see you. Say hello to the missus. I see you. Ooh, Twitter is bumping today, y'all. It's symmetric. Hey, girl, I see you, my stranger. Now, Tim, you are new to me. Hello, Tim, darling. I see you. Welcome to the space. And Olza, welcome to the space. You see, all you got to do is persist. Twitter is usually for the replay gang. But Twitter was bumping this morning because I know Lessigo was in the space already, but he probably had to end up going to work. But I appreciate each and every one of you for being here this morning and, hanging out with me and Lil Bit and Lady. Those are my chickens. For those of you who don't know them, Lil Bit will crow whenever he's ready because he's in the house. He's my house rooster, but that's another day. That's another story. That's my sweet feller, but I digress. What are you going to do when you go out in the world today? Are you going to clutch your pearls, or will you recognize that it is you at the helm? Or as Joseph Murphy says, you're the captain of your ship. Where are you directing that rudder? Hello? Little teeny, teeny, tiny rudder that nobody ever sees. You know what that rudder is? Your mental attitude, your mental mood is the rudder of your life. And with that, my beautiful friends, I bid you adieu. And you know I will see you in these streets again on Monday, right here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Fanbase, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you have a suggestion and you say, Angela, what about this? How does the law fit into this? Send me a DM and I'll break it down for you. Because you think sometimes that we can live outside of law. There is nothing outside of law. And that is a comfort. Because then you know how it's always going to be. There aren't any surprises. Anyway, I could natter on all day. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. My God, I love you. And I shall see you again on Monday. Monday, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Go forth and know that you are master of your world. You are the master of your world. Indeed you are. Ow. You see, a little bit, he's so quiet. He was crowing already. He crowed at 4:30 this morning, my time. 6:30, your time. I said, I know, I'm awake, child. I'm awake. And he's going to hop out in that hallway talking about, did you hear me? Let me holler a little louder because I don't think you heard me. My rooster is dramatic, okay? But I love him nonetheless. And Biscuit and Popcorn, they're doing great too. Yes, they're doing great. They're outside frolicking, because they're on the farm. They're outside frolicking and loving the ladies. And that's how they roll. Those two. Anyway, that's the update on the chickens. I love you and I'll see you. Peace out, everybody. Peace out. Oh, wait. I forgot. I just heard Yolanda in the back of my head. Tell them that your website is ready. PositivelyAngela.com is ready. So go check it out and send me a chat so I know that it's working. You got to help me test it. PositivelyAngela.com. Now I'm gone. Peace.